Hi guys, thanks for tuning in. Last night I posted a picture on Instagram and Bub and I were going out on a date. Yes, a rare date. We had a great time, checked out a new restaurant in town, did a little shopping afterwards. It was nice. And so many of you on that picture were asking about my makeup, the lips, the eyes, mainly what was on my face, like foundation wise. And it was a really freaking full coverage look. For as natural as that looked, you know, in the broad daylight, which really is kind of saying something, because sometimes in daylight things can look even thicker than they do under these lights. A lot of you were asking about it and said I should do a video on the look or hoped I shot a video on the look. Well, I didn't, but I'm doing it now because I remember everything I had. A lot of it, you know, I carelessly left out here on my table so I can see what I used. But part of what I like about a date night is the whole getting ready, you know, taking the time. Like part of the time when I got ready, the kids were napping, so it's just fun to be able to relax and kind of get ready with something in mind other than I'm on child duty today. Just fun to get glammed up, you know, so that's what I did. So the first thing I used was a really rich moisturizer. I'm trying this L'Oreal Age Perfect Cell Renewal Rosy Tone Cream, and this stuff is thick and it is rosy tone too. So I put this on and just really worked it into the skin, and my skin felt so like kind of plumped up and moisturized after this step, which is really good if you're using a foundation that you're concerned might look a little thick. You want to make sure that like that foundation has plenty of moisture that it's going into instead of dry patchy areas that are going to look obvious. I'm really dry right in on the inner part of my brows, kind of the inner part of my eye area too. It's like in summertime you feel like you get hotter and sweatier and oilier, but then if you spend a lot of time in a pool, sometimes that has a reverse effect on your skin. Like days later you'll feel drier actually. I feel like I'm tending to skin dryness in the summertime these days. I used a primer that I've been meaning to use. You know, I did my primer declutter and now I'm left with the things that I really want to try out, or the things that I know I love. And this is from Marc Jacobs. It's the Invisible Undercover Perfecting Coconut Face Primer. Very, very thin, kind of gel-like. This primer just makes me feel kind of like I'm adding a light layer of moisturizer additionally, like on top of the other moisturizer. My skin does feel really smooth with this on, but it's not the effect that you get with like a Smashbox Photo Finish silicone-y primer. The foundation I used was this Infallible Total Cover. I have it in 304 Natural Buff, and I never really talked about this. I don't know if I talked about this one ever. I got it. It's the big 24-hour super full coverage weightless feel foundation, and when I first got it I thought it feels pretty heavy, and I would also feel like it looked kind of heavy on the skin, but for whatever reason I decided to pull it out again and kind of give it another shot, and I used a dampened beauty blender with it, and I really just took the time to work it into the skin a lot, and it seemed to help quite a bit. So I used about like that much. I don't know, we're talking maybe a pea-sized amount of this foundation all over the skin, and I definitely patch it on the skin first because then you know the foundation is getting to these areas. Bounce that in all over, and you can see the coverage is really good, but you just don't want that full coverage foundation to look like thick foundation, right? Well, I will say, when you've got a full coverage foundation, if you've got a dampened beauty blender, setting sprays, and highlighters, anything's possible. It's certainly the combo of getting this worked into the skin really well and then putting a little glow on top and completely transforming the texture of your skin with the setting spray. Like, that's what it's all about. Now, I've applied this foundation with a brush before. It has even higher coverage with a brush, but for the sake of it looking at least a little more skin-like, I'm using the Beauty Blender. Then I used a combination of concealers. I used my Boing Brightening Concealer number 2, which if you watch my video, you know this is the new erase paste now. If you wore medium in erase paste and you want to get this new kind, you're going to want number 2. And I dabbed this on. Mainly, like, I'm giving the most concentration of product right here around the inner corner of the eye, and then just kind of feathering out with a little bit more product here. And dab that in. I've had several questions lately of people either trying to combat one of two problems: dark age spots, melasma, or dark under eyes. And like I've had several people comment lately, like I'm trying to cover them up with concealer and they're lightening, but they're not looking completely covered. And I would say you need to use a deeper peachy corrector and perhaps also a deeper skin tone concealer on top. I think the telltale sign that your concealing product is too light is when it's taking your problem and not erasing it, but rather lightening it. So I don't know, instead of using the number 2, you might use the number 3 in this product because that's a little bit richer peachy shade. And like with concealers, this Anastasia concealer that I'm gonna pull in here, this stuff, I hadn't used it for, I don't know, maybe just a couple months here. I wouldn't say it's a long gone forgotten product, but this is a fantastic concealer, very creamy, and I use 2.5. And this is certainly like none too light for my skin, you know, but you'll find if I put it over dark areas, it really conceals. So I'm hitting it with the 1-2 punch here on dark circles and any kind of discoloration on top of my cheeks. I'm using both the corrector and then I'm using a little bit of concealer. And I'm using this concealer over any other little imperfections I see also. And then I'm just taking that sponge and just tapping over it. I would say ideally I would use maybe a little smaller beauty blender like the Micro Mini just to go around this area. But because this was just what I had wet and I didn't want to go back to the bathroom sink, this is what I'm using. But see how fully you can get stuff covered up if you're just using the right tones. Darker discoloration calls for a darker concealer and or corrector to cover it up. Just keep that in mind. I have totally been there where the tendency is to overcorrect and think I'm gonna pull the lightest concealer this brand makes and really cover it up. But then you merely lighten it or give it a grayish cast sometimes. And the thing I love about both of these concealers is the texture because they're so creamy. Like, do you see how my skin almost has a dewy look from that stuff, but it's not overly sticky. It's just a really creamy, you know, concealer combo there. This video is such a combination of, I don't know, new, old, like brand new. I have this Born This Way powder from Too Faced. This is their ethereal setting powder. And so I thought I would use this for a little bit of baking on the under eye area. I do like that the packaging has this little lift up cap. Just going to use my beauty blender once again to pick up some of that product, and I just dabbed it on the under eye. I think I've referred to this technique as microwaving before, not just baking, because I don't think I'm applying a whole ton of product, but I don't know. We're going to get some on there. This is just what I did last night, and the look worked out. If you watch a lot of my videos, you're probably thinking, so is it as good as the Laura Mercier, or is it better, worse? I'm not really sure. Like, I kind of, at this stage of the game, it's performing a lot like it. But the biggest thing that sets the Laura Mercier apart for me is I feel like it's a powder. I can get away with using less of it. Like, if I go through the little baking thing, I don't necessarily feel the need to pile a buttload of that product on to get a really smooth, flawless under eye look. Also, just the wear of it is so good. This, I haven't even really put it through a long span of wear time yet, so we'll see. So while that's doing a little light bake there, I'm using the Too Faced Chocolate Brownie Cocoa Powder Brow Pencil in soft brown. So this has the spoolie on the one end, and then it does have kind of a unique shape on this other side, because where a lot of products are going with a triangular shape there on the brow pencil, this is really skinny. It's just like there's not one super wide tip to it, and it can kind of craft some straight edges or sort of straightness in your brows pretty easily, and the tone is really nice. It does smell chocolatey too. This is definitely the first scented or good scented brow product that I've used. I've just gotten into using that Tarte Arch Architect that has the attached brow gel, and that's one of those that has like the little bit triangular shape, and I do like it. But you see how this one is pairing like somewhat of a thickish brow pencil, like in comparison to a Brow Wiz, a thicker pencil, yet with more precision in the way they've cut it. And I just take the spoolie through. But thank you so much to Mom and Dad for watching the little ones last night. Eve has started eating solid food. I guess that's been the latest development over the past month or so. Around 5 months, I guess, when she started. And she's really taking to it well. She's doing a great job. Bananas are her favorite so far. She also likes apples, like, you know, in a pureed state. That's how we're going with it right now. But she'll take some green beans or some sweet potatoes, no problem. So I'm just kind of dusting away any excess powder that was on here. And that's just pretty much the powder. The only face powder I'm doing on my face is what I put here around like the under eye area, center of the face. I did bronzer and I just kind of used bronzer as contour. I used my e.l.f. palette here that I was comparing to the Marc Jacobs. This lightest shade actually works as a really nice little contour type color here. Buff that in. And then if I want to deepen that tone up, you just go to the one that's kind of at the diagonal there from it. And you can get this nice kind of bronzy depth around your hairline. So I like to get those targeted places first, and then I'll go back to those same couple of colors with a fluffier brush. And this will just be my all over bronzing. For blush, I grabbed for my Besame blush. This is so pretty. Look at this old school packaging, and it twists off here, and it says 1915 Rose. It's like a really cool pink, and I just get a little bit on there because it picks up, your brush will pick up a ton. Tap off the excess, and then I just go for the outer part of the apple of the cheek. And when you do that, it really just, I don't know, accentuates. If you got some fullness to the cheek like I do here, it just kind of, I don't know, pops that area. Oh, so pretty. This blush is like just blending itself there. It's so easy to use. Just don't get too much. This look is looking very full coverage, but very flat and matte right now. So stand by. We're going to do something different. During the Amazon Prime Day event, I got a few things. One of them was a brand I haven't tried before. It's called Aesthetica. Has anybody else used this stuff? This is their Strobe series palette, and I ended up with the tan to dark one. I didn't know I was getting tan to dark, but you know, it works well. It comes with a liquid strobe like pen also. But you know what? The shades are not at all unusable on me. Like, they're actually all kind of brightening. I'm very curious though to see what the lighter one is and just how much more glowy perhaps those shades are. But these tones are really, really pretty. And I found, what was I using last night? I think this one. And I got a lot of questions about what my highlight was. And this is so pretty. I take it like down to the top of the cheek because that's really where, head on, that's where you see it. So I kind of took it up and around here. It's so pretty. And I even like took one of these, I think it was this one, and I put it like on my shoulders because I was wearing one of those tops where the shoulder kind of pokes out. But like, this brand has some really good quality stuff, and I'm still waiting on a brow palette thing that I got to come in, but I'm using some of this color as well. I mean, you don't have to be scared of it. Look at that. Ooh. Yes, add me to the montage of YouTubers gawking at their own highlights. But seriously, I mean, that shade doesn't look like it would be that light, does it? It really pops. I put a little bit down the nose, put a little bit up here like on the forehead, sort of above the brow area. I tried this Too Faced Prime Set Refresh Hangover RX 3-in-1 Replenishing Primer and Setting Spray with coconut water, probiotic based ingredient, and skin revivers. I was just trying to make that name as long as possible for you guys here. And that is what takes your full coverage and makes it look like glowing skin. I mean, you gotta blend in the foundation really well with something like this. You gotta use some kind of glowy highlight that starts to bring some dimension and some sheen back, and top it off with something that absolutely transforms the texture. It wouldn't have to be this particular spray, because honestly, I can make that texture change happen with the e.l.f. Prep Set and Glow. I can do it with the Mario Badescu. I'm kind of trying to figure out if this is going to be doing anything like next level different for my skin, but obviously here you see it definitely looks super smooth and super even at this point. Ever need a little pick-me-up? You know, just look at your Precious Moments mug that you've had for like 20 years and see what they say about you on your name. Emily is E, enthusiastic, M, merry, I, imaginative, L, lively, and Y, youthful. Thank you, Precious Moments mug. A winning spirit filled with happiness. Milani eyeshadow primer. Still got some product in this puppy. I just apply the tiniest bit of this between two eyes and get it all the way up through that crease. This is also a good time to take any like powder or foundation that's collected in the crease of your eye somehow and kind of make sure that that's not there anymore. And then the thing I used on the eyes, I thought, I'm gonna get out the good stuff. It's date night, y'all. So I got out my Viseart Warm Neutral Matte Palette, or it's called the Warm Matte Palette. I've said this before, but if you're really like on the fence about this, like this is a really pretty palette because I do love the reds and yellows, but the regular Viseart Matte Neutral does have some warm shades in it, and I still feel like that palette is the biggest bang for your buck. It's not that I don't like the quality of this palette, because I do, but I just think, I don't know, I can get the warm neutral look with the other ones. So do I absolutely have to have this one? Probably not, but I'm gonna use it. My look was not super complicated. It was just kind of a, I don't know, a little bit of a smoky look actually. It didn't look as dark in that particular picture that I had on Instagram as maybe it did in person. Take a little bit of this color and just buff this in the crease. I started doing my eyes last night, and that was when all hell started to break loose downstairs, and kids were waking up and needing snacks and running up the stairs to check on me and doing all kinds of stuff. So I sort of breezed through the eyes, honestly. I took all that time on the skin. But hey, we can all enjoy a little warm, neutral, matte, easy eye, right? I did do it up with the liner though, and I did put lashes on. We're still keeping this a high maintenance look, all right? A little bit of this orangey color. This is a nice little soft orange. And I like using that as a transition-y kind of color. I love Viseart shadows. So well made, so consistent, beautiful colors. Great thought put into the color palettes they're giving you. Don't get me started again on that interview video that Stephanie Nicole did with them, but that gave me a ton of insight into this brand and what they're about, and I liked it. Using that light buttery kind of cream shade, buttercream if you will. Then what did I do? Belle and Nana, my mom, made cookies yesterday. It was so cute. She had her stirring that stuff, dumping stuff in, decorating the cookies. They were so good. It was like a cake mix, a yellow cake mix, and chocolate chips. So it was a little bit different spin on a chocolate chip cookie, but very, very moist, very good. So anyways, this dark red, I did use this, and I patted this on my lid. The nice thing about this palette is that the shades just blend so seamlessly. When you're dealing with this kind of gradient of color and like the subtle differences between these colors, you just put them on and they were all just made to work together. You know, that's what I'm getting at here. It's not like you bounce around to any one point and pair it with something else and it's gonna look off. They just all are in that same kind of zone. Then I went with this kind of warm medium brown, and I took that like on the center of the lid and a little bit inward. This is what I do when I'm in a hurry and I'm changing shades. This is how I clean off my brush. I just do that, and until no shadow's coming up there, then I just move on. A little bit of the light shade. Look how the light shade can still totally dominate and overlap the deeper ones with no problem. Very Kat Von D shadow-like quality to those light colors here. I always like a little brightness around that part of my eye, I just do. Okay, and then I just kind of took this brown and built up that crease a bit more. It's a very warm brown. It's like even warmer than it looks. If you haven't tried Viseart shadows, the thing that I think you'll enjoy and notice about them is how good they can look sheer. They look just as good sheer as they do full on. Like when you just kind of blend them out and get them in this really buffed out state, they look so good, but they also look great just packed on. Then I was trying to find just a plain black liner, but the first thing I grabbed for actually has, I think, a little bit of a glimmer to it. Doesn't really matter. It's dark enough to actually look black, but this is the Makeup Forever Aqua XL in number D12. These eye pencils have really nice staying power, really nice ability to cling in here to the lower inner rim, so I would kind of recommend them as a whole in terms of good waterline liners. I like to dot them a little bit on the actual lash line, and then I'll go in and blend that with a smudge brush. Let that darkness kind of diffuse a little bit, and then you pop some powder on top of that and you've got this great smoky lash line. But before I do that, I'm going to do my upper liner as well, and I did a good old-fashioned black liner wing. Yes, need the coffee before this one. Make sure I'm on my game here. This is my Jordana Color Envy in Black Envy. I was just thinking, what am I going to call this video? At what point do videos where makeup application is being done, when are they tutorials and when are they get ready with me's? I'm getting ready either way, right? So does the tutorial have to be more formally instructional? Generally speaking, my get ready with me videos are longer, and if I was doing a tutorial, I would try to keep it a little bit more concise. Get ready with me videos are where I give myself a little more license to ramble. So I guess this would be a get ready with me. Then for a while there, I had the makeup playtime, which was like doing a makeup look where you start out and you have absolutely no direction in mind. You just grab for stuff and have fun. I need to do another one of those too. That was kind of like what happened last night. I didn't know I was going to do this particular eye look. You know, I didn't really go in with a plan. I just wanted to look good, you know. I just wanted my skin to look even. I wanted my eye to be kind of smoky and sultry. This is the exact same thing that happened last night. This wing started to do more than this wing, and so I had to go back and just add a little bit more. Chihuahua. But that's where it ends. I'm not doing any more. You know, you say that phrase a lot when your 2-year-old randomly blurts out an "I chihuahua" after something happens. Next step, all we have to finish is the lower lash line, and that's where I'm going to bring in this deepest brown. When you look at this palette, like, there's not really a black brown or a black here, but this brown, when you put it on in its fullest extent, you know, really pack it on here, it looks pretty dark. Like, this is the fullest extent of this color, the way I'm putting it on right here. I gave myself a pretty thick wingage. Nothing like hitting up your local barbecue place with a fully glam eye look. The shadow beneath the wings. I'll spare you. I won't sing "Shadow Beneath My Wings," or maybe I will. "You are the shadow beneath my wings." And then I'm going to go into this shade. This is that same kind of warm brown that I was working into my crease. And put it on kind of thick. Like, if you're going to do a big lash, go a little bit thicker than you even think on the lower lash line, because I always inevitably go back and add more after I've got a big set of lashes on. Then on my lashes, the first thing I do is curl and apply the mascara. If you're kind of new to my videos and you're thinking, well, is that even a necessary step? Like, do you have to put mascara on if you know you're going to put on false lashes? And some people with a really great natural curl to their lashes might not need to do that, because your lashes, you might find that they've just got that nice bend to them and they naturally mesh with the perfect curl of a false lash really well. Lash Paradise, did I say that already? But mine definitely need this little, like, kind of curl, and think of the mascara as the hairspray that's going to hold my lashes in that curl and make them blend with the false lashes. Because if I didn't do this step, I would totally look like I had false lashes taken off to the moon and my lashes are pointing down at the ground. So this is a necessary step for a straight lashed person. And I tell you, I do like this Lash Paradise so much. It's one of the few mascaras that I would put on and feel like, yeah, I could still be satisfied just stopping here. But we felt like being very extra last night. And by we, I mean me. I had such a good burger. Oh, it was so good. It's like, do you ever stay away from eating burgers at, like, nicer restaurants because they end up being so freaking thick? Well, this place did their burgers a little bit thinner. Like, not as thin as a Steak and Shake burger, like, but a little bit thicker than that, and they put 2 on. And really, really good melted cheeses. And then they had their own special barbecue sauces, and I put some of that on there, and it was so good. Got my Lash Paradise on, and while that mascara is pretty good about not getting super smudgy on me, I have seen it do a little bit when I put it on my lower lashes. When in doubt, go back to the Old Faithful CoverGirl Plump Crusher Water Resistant. I get so many people asking about wedding makeup and like what's a mascara I can use that I can cry and it's not gonna go anywhere. This would be it. This mascara has actually proven itself in a number of wedding situations and funeral situations and childbirth situations. Like, the resume on this mascara is long. And once again, kind of like the lower liner, this, you know, the smudgy smokiness that I did there, when I know I'm going for a bigger eye look and I'm gonna have a really full lash, I'll give myself license to do a bigger lower lash to kind of balance it out. I'm kind of doing like a couple of coats almost down here on these. Not to the point where they get super spidery and stuff, but just let them stand out a little more. Let them have their moment in the spotlight. And these are the lashes. These are the lashes that are just like a red cherry number 43. They are full and thick the whole way, and they are slightly longer on the outsides. I think these are an even more generic maybe brand than those, but I've had these for quite a while. I've been reusing them quite a bit, and I no longer have the outer packaging to tell you exactly what line they are, but Red Cherry is the one that I had picked up for a long time. It had this very same style, and I know these are just like those. They will give your lash line a lot of fullness, added length. Okay, so I just center that up with the center of my eye, and then, very important here, just because it feels like it's getting in contact with the whole lash line doesn't mean it necessarily is. You gotta take your finger over it and just tap, tap, tap. Make sure every part of that lash band is hitting skin. And then I like to tip it up just a little bit so you make sure it's not saggy. Nothing worse than saggy lashes, except maybe a few other saggy things I can think of right offhand. More glue. I think I got this from Walmart. It's the Strip Lash Adhesive. It's clear with aloe. I think this is by Kiss, because I can no longer find my beloved Revlon Precision Lash Glue. Maybe some of y'all can at your Walmarts, but I couldn't see it there anymore, so I got this. It's okay. I will say this, it's thickened up just a little bit. It was thinner when I first got it, and now with some uses and, you know, opening it up and getting it open to some air, it's thickened up just a little bit and seems a little bit more Revlon lash glue like than it used to be. But I will always go for a wand applicator on my glue over just the tube. I can't remember the last time I just used a tube glue to apply lashes, because this is so quick. It really just keeps the product you're putting on at such a minimum. See, this is where I look at the eye look and I think, yes, I will do even more shadow then, because the lashes are coming up here. I will like add a little bit of transition-y type color to kind of come up there with the lashes. No shame in adjusting the look, you know? Just because you had your sights set on doing something one certain way, or some tutorial you watched, somebody did it this certain way and they didn't go back for another step, you can go back. See how this lash is wanting to curve a lot? Just kind of straighten it out a little bit like that. Center it up, pull it down, got a little glue there, it's okay. When you wear a certain pair of lashes a lot, the application goes really fast like this. It just becomes very accustomed to the shape of your eye. They learn. Lashes are smart. Again, we make sure they're tipping up. Sometimes you'll have one lash that really wants to tip up for whatever reason on one eye, just the way you set it on there, and then the other one won't look the same. So now's the time, as that glue is really drying, to make sure that the lashes are kind of setting on your eyes in the same manner. And here's what else I'll do, because I'm impatient. Sometimes I don't fully wait for that glue to get dry. Sometimes glues do become truly invisible, as they should. These clear glues should dry to a state where you don't see them anymore. Sometimes they don't. Sometimes you got more of a glob in one area than another and you still see it. And sometimes you're just impatient and you want to see the look be finished. And so I go in with a liner pen, like any black liner pen. This happens to be the Too Faced Sketch Marker. Matte black, please. If you're going for this kind of look, you know, matte black will be good. If that's what your original liner was. I just kind of go over anywhere I think I might still be seeing a little something. I promise this look is almost done. I do a little dab of mascara. Notice how I'm just tapping it here at the base part of the false lash. just to ensure that the real and fake lashes are together. There's no need to sweep this through the full length of the lashes. Unless you've got a false lash that is not performing as much as you want it to and you feel like you need to bulk it up. But like what I said I was gonna do here, and what I believe I did last night as well, is I brought in some more of this orange at this point and just gave it even more pizzazz here up top. Pizzazz needs to be used a lot more. That's a word that just needs to get out there more. I'll make it my mission. See, look how pretty this is. Oh, I love how that's kind of the pretty shade that's up here showing, and then it gets like this murky kind of burgundy brown happening down there. This turned out even better than the look last night did. Then the lips, I went very light. I used this Makeup Revolution in the shade called Awaken. The other color that I have from this line that I really like is called Lifelong. That's more rosy. But these are really, really creamy lipsticks. Kind of a peachy nude thing going on here. I don't know, in my picture it just looked like fresh, perfect baby lips, you know? This color wasn't screaming at you, but these look so smooth and nice. And then I did just a little bit of the Jouer Skinny Dip lip topper in the center here. Dab it on, kind of blended it with my finger. And that was it for the lips. Actually, that's it for the whole look. That's my date night look, where I really just went and did it big. I put rollers in my hair, but I've showered since then, so we're not seeing the effects of that anymore. But yeah, thank you guys so much for all the nice feedback on this look and all the requests for this look that made me feel like I'm gonna get up the next day and do this all over again for a tutorial, because it really is skin that's got quite a bit on it. I mean, you guys saw it's got quite a bit on it, but it doesn't necessarily look that way, and it certainly didn't look that way in pictures either. A nice warm smoky eye and a little nude lip. That's all there is to it. Thank you guys for watching. I hope this was helpful, and I will see you very soon. Bye. I promise I did comb my hair before the date night.